Hey there, all you filthy heathens. This is Kirk. I'm coming back to you again after a long layoff, which I'll get into a little bit later in the show today. But I want to go over a lot of things, and there's just so much stuff happening. I wasn't sure where to start, and I think today was kind of the day where it's like I have to do a show today because there's just been so much building up over the last few months. I hate doing shows when there's just like nothing to report, when there's nothing that's actually happening, so I kind of just put down the mic and just said, you know what, I'm gonna wait till shit actually hits the fan and then I'll actually do a show again. So today we're gonna get into it. Mostly I'm gonna go over what happened today, which the big deal is Elon Musk buying Twitter, and I'll go over some of the wins that the conservatives in this country, at least in the US, have been building up over the last week and a half or so, particularly in Florida. And then I'll just go over why there was such a long layoff for me specifically, and I'll go over some of that, and it kind of all culminated in this last weekend, so I'll give you a little bit of a touch on that. But let's go ahead and get started. The big news of the day, something I'm very excited about, Elon Musk buys Twitter just outright, just buys the entire platform. And this has been building for the whole month, basically the whole month of April. I remember people talking about how this could have been just an April Fool's joke. Twitter, Elon Musk wanted to buy Twitter. Yeah, totally, whatever, sure. But no, it turns out that he was 100% into it, was determined to make it happen, and went through and bought Twitter today. And I think this is overall, it's very exciting. The reason why it's exciting is that there's so many good possibilities. Having one specific owner, it does have a little bit of there's somebody that can come in, shake things up, and then maybe send it public again. Something like that. But there's a little bit of unknown. But with the way Elon Musk has been talking about this deal, I'm so excited about it because he's already brought back certain personalities that have been canceled from the platform. So, for example, Tucker Carlson. Now, I'm not a huge fan of Tucker, but Tucker was banned from Twitter. Well, his account's already back up, and Elon's only owned the company for where are we at? 4 hours, 5 hours. So, it's crazy. That's crazy. All of a sudden, all these accounts that were deleted or suspended are now back up. And I'm still waiting to see some of the more controversial ones, the Milo Yiannopoulos, Alex Jones. I'm still waiting to see those ones come back, which I think will happen over time. But there is some exciting stuff going on right now because Elon Musk has bought Twitter. I think it's great that you're seeing this happen because right now social media is completely run by the left wing. It's completely owned and operated and controlled by people with one particular narrative. When it came to Twitter, I think Twitter was the most egregious actor in all of this when it came to the 2020 election. We now know that the Hunter Biden laptop was 100% accurate. Almost everything on there has been confirmed as accurate. Well, that news report was stifled and shut down by Twitter. Twitter is the reason why nobody ran with it. Why that story kept getting blocked by news organizations and kept getting scrutinized so much more than anything about Trump would have. But it was completely scrutinized, and now we know, based on polling data that's been done repeatedly over the last 2 years, that 30%, I think it was 30%. I'd have to look that up again. But I do know there's a solid percentage of people who voted for Joe Biden that would have at least not voted for him and possibly would have switched over to Trump if they had known what was on that laptop. So I'm looking at this saying Twitter is it was probably the one that needed to be overhauled the most out of all of them. Some people say Facebook, and I'm on Facebook, but I've gotten to the point where Facebook is mostly just to keep in touch with, people my generation, like my old high school and college friends. Because, Facebook came out right after I graduated from high school, when I was still in college. The last couple of years I was in college. So, I still stay on there to kind of keep in touch with those people. And, my parents are older, so I can keep in touch with them. Same thing with like aunts and uncles and stuff. They're all on Facebook. I know I can get in touch with them more on Facebook than I can any other platform. So it's mostly there. Also, their live streaming is a lot better. So if I want to, for example, the last couple of elections, I've gone live on my Facebook page to kind of talk to my friends. It's a bit more interactive for me because they know me personally. They've seen me, we've talked, we've had conversations within the last couple of years usually. So they feel more interactive that way. And that's mostly why I keep in touch with old friends. But Twitter, as far as a news outlet, it really is, you get all the news just so quickly and you get updated so quickly that it's there for you. And I think that platform specifically is the best platform for a huge shakeup to come around and really promote the free speech aspect of it. So I'm so excited about Elon Musk buying it because of the possibilities. However, I do want to temper anybody who's too excited about this. I have no assumptions that Elon Musk is going to come in and really change anything. I mean, there have been some cool changes today, and that's great and all. I've seen people out there posting all the stuff that would have got them banned over the last 2 years about COVID. They've gone through and decided, I'm going to post this about COVID and that about COVID. I'm not going to repeat that stuff because I'm still going to be posting this to YouTube and I don't want to get banned from YouTube. So, but yeah, you can go on Twitter and you can find all the people posting things about, hydroxy, the rest of the word, and Ivor, the rest of the word. So, posting all that stuff. They've talked about certain, their beliefs about the outcome of the 2020 election and how free and how fair that election was. They've made their opinions known today. So you can see that all over Twitter today, and nothing's been shut down. No one's been suspended or anything like that for those statements. So it's a really exciting time for Twitter. I'm under no assumption that it's going to change all that much. But in the short term, it looks good. However, just like any politician, I don't trust billionaires the same way I don't trust politicians. These people have their own unique, desires and what they want to accomplish, and they usually don't involve me. They usually are in some ways to try to get more of my money. So when it comes to billionaire tech moguls or billionaires in general, and especially politicians, I don't trust them ever. You never trust them. However, I'm going to trust a guy who actually built something to become a billionaire rather than someone who just spouts platitudes, every 6 years just so that he or she can get reelected. So I definitely trust a billionaire more than I trust a politician. But yeah, I'm not going to assume that Elon has my best interests at heart. So I'm still going to, like I said, when Trump got elected in 2016, I'm still going to hold his feet to the fire because I don't really trust him. We'll see how he does. Well, it's the same thing with Elon buying Twitter. I'm still going to expect that he is promoting free speech values. Obviously, I don't want violence and harassment happening on Twitter. However, those things are illegal. So, how would you let the police take care of it? So that's my take on that. But going along with that, remember, with Elon buying Twitter, that immediately opens up, are they going to bring Trump back? That's what everybody thinks is going to happen. Trump is going to come back to Twitter and, the left is going to melt down, which if Elon does nothing else, watching the left wing just freak the fuck out over these next few days, that's totally worth it for me. I mean, that's worth the price of admission as far as I'm concerned. But as far as Trump goes, Trump has released a statement on whether or not he'll return to Twitter. And he said he's not going back to Twitter. He's going to try to stick with Truth Social, which really hasn't worked out as well as he'd hoped, and probably as well as a lot of us had hoped. I haven't created a profile on Truth Social because I wanted to see if it was actually going to start up. And so many people were like, yeah, I registered for an account and my account's still not up yet. It's been a week and it's been a long time. And I I don't see how that's going to work out. I think Twitter's probably going to be the best option. So I think over time, you're going to see Trump realize, okay, I've got to go back to Twitter because Twitter is now available to me and I can use it as a platform. Also, if he plans on running for president, he's going to need some sort of social media outlet that he can put his thoughts out to the country. And, you know, I think if you want to talk about 4D chess, I think Elon Musk should say, hey, Donald Trump, you're back on Twitter. Go ahead. Because I actually think Donald Trump being banned from all these social media outlets has actually helped his public image and has actually helped him over the last couple of years. Because, yeah, with Trump, you get a lot of good stuff. You know, his Twitter was great. But when it comes to president stuff, like, there's a lot of bad stuff, and that's why he lost the election, is because there was just so much bad stuff, you know. So I think if this is a 4D chess move and Trump jumps back on Twitter, that might actually just end up hurting him, which, you know, paves the way for a different Republican to come in later. So that could be the case. I don't know, but as of right now, it looks like Trump is not going to be jumping back on Twitter, but I think eventually he's going to have to. He's going to have to own it because Truth Social is not really working out. No other social media site is going to let him back on, except for Twitter at this point. Twitter is where he got most of his follows and most of his free publicity anyway. So that's where he really should go, is back to Twitter. And, you know, we'll see how it goes. I think, like I said, I just want Trump back on Twitter so that I can see the left just melt down some more. You've already had some, I think Sean King, you know, Talcum X, he deleted his Twitter account, which, I mean, you know, white people can be so dramatic. I don't understand. But yeah, I mean, it's great news. I'm excited about the possibilities. I'm not getting my hopes up too much, but as of right now, this is the big news of the month. Obviously, it's the big news of today, and I think it'll be the big news going forward, at least for the next week or so, and we'll see how that transpires. Now, speaking of future Republican nominees, I've said this before. You can go back and look. One of the first episodes, probably the first episode I did of the Filthy Heathens podcast, was me saying that the front runner for the Republican nomination in 2024 is Ron DeSantis. He's the governor of Florida, and there's just so much winning going on here. I mean, he is doing everything. I mean, he has not made one bad move, and I'm just hoping that trend continues because he's doing everything right. I can't think of any other governor or any other, you know, big name in politics over the last 20 years that has been almost flawless across the board. I can remember back in, you know, right after Obama got elected, they had Bobby Jindal. He was the governor of Louisiana. He's a big rising star. He took over the state after Hurricane Katrina, was making a lot of reforms, was doing a lot of good things. And he gave the reply speech to Barack Obama's first address to Congress. And it was not good. I mean, if you read a transcript of that speech, it was really good. But when you watch him give the speech, it wasn't good. And that just basically shut down him as a potential candidate for president. It just wasn't going to work out for him. Same thing, Marco Rubio. He gave a bad address to a bad rebuttal to Obama. And, you know, he had to take a drink of water in the middle of it. And it was just like, dude, what are you doing? And to me, that kind of soured me on him as well. You know, you had these young, up-and-coming Republicans that were minority candidates as well. They checked a lot of boxes, and they shot themselves in the foot. Ron DeSantis has not really done any of that. He's actually done almost everything right. And here's the thing, I can't think of anything wrong that he's done yet. Anything that's been so either politically wrong, made the wrong decision, or has done something that makes him look stupid. everything he does is just, it has been largely, I don't want to say perfect because no one's perfect, but it's almost flawless. So let's start with this. He signs the parental notification bill. The whole don't say gay bill. It's so stupid. That's not even in the bill. But basically all this bill did was ban teachers from talking about sex to third graders and younger. So for anybody outside the US, third grade here is 9 and 10-year-olds. Like, I think I turned 9 years old in third grade. So 9-year-olds. So basically, you're not supposed to talk about sex with 9-year-olds or younger in the classroom. So, and it doesn't specify whether or not you're supposed to talk about heterosexual sex, homosexual sex, any kind of sex. It just says you can't talk about sex with 9-year-olds. Apparently, that pissed off a lot of Democrats. Now, they said that this is an attack on the LGBT community. However, my entire life, from the time, for as long as I can remember, discussing gay rights issues in school or just in general public discourse, I cannot remember a time, or I cannot think of a time when I was always told that gay rights will not, there's no grooming involved in gay rights. This is not you had these really hardcore conservatives, really Christian conservatives worried that gay people were going to recruit little kids to being gay. Well, I was told that for 2 decades at least, that wasn't going to happen. And this bill, all that does is says, hey, that's not going to happen. We're not letting that happen. And apparently now, talking to sex with 5 and 6-year-olds, that's a gay rights issue. I don't get that at all. So I don't know why Democrats are trying to make this an issue where teachers having private conversations about sex with kindergartners is a gay rights issue. That seems very homophobic in and of itself. So I don't think gay people actively want to groom children, and I don't think most gay teachers, gay elementary school teachers, want to groom children. So I don't know why the Democrats are playing it that way, but they're trying to make it about hating gay people when it's about not sexualizing children. So, and remember, the reason why they cut it off at 3rd grade is that in 4th grade, there are going to be some kids that are going to be going through some changes that, the teachers might want to address with those kids. Say, hey, this is normal. Don't worry about it. Let me talk to your parents about it so that they know what's going on. There's nothing wrong with that. But before that, you shouldn't be having these conversations, especially in private. So what I've been telling people, anytime someone comes out and says they're against this bill that Governor DeSantis signed in their state, just ask them, why do you think it's appropriate for a state employee, an elementary school teacher, to have a private conversation about anal sex with a 6-year-old and tell them to keep it secret from their parents? That's all this bill does. It bans that kind of conversation. So there's one, and it's a huge win. Even 60% of I believe 60% of Democrats in the state of Florida are in favor of this bill. So this is a huge win for Ron DeSantis. And again, this seemed just like common sense, and the Democrats made it out to be this big thing that it wasn't. So now this bill actually got talked about by the CEO of Disney. So there was a big uproar. LGBT people that work for Disney at Disney World and in Florida in general, they came out and made a big fuss about it, and the Disney CEO caved to them, and Disney in general caved to them. And then we had leaked footage come out where executives at Disney were saying, no, we're actively trying to put queer ideology into Disney programming for kids. So we found out about all this stuff. And so DeSantis said, oh, well, it's one thing if Disney decides, hey, we're going to lobby the state because we want lower taxes, or we want certain regulations to be different so that we can benefit from that. That's one thing. When you're working in your own interest, that makes sense. Hey, Disney wants to film a movie in Florida. We'd like to have like a lower taxes on doing business in your state. Okay, that's fine. You're trying to help your business out. We get it. But now you're going in and saying that, the state can't enforce certain educational laws and provide parents with rights about how their kids are educated in their state, but you want special privileges from the state. Well, DeSantis said, okay, well, let's take a look at how Disney's status works in the state of Florida. So what did he do? He signed a bill into law that strips Disney of all special powers. Now, I was just at Disney World, and yes, I know I could have boycotted Disney and not gone on that trip. The problem is that, first of all, several aspects of that trip were non-refundable. The trip was mostly for my mom and my mother-in-law's birthday. That was what they wanted for their birthday present, for the most part. And I'm not going to, since a lot of the trip was non-refundable, I'm not going to give thousands of dollars to Disney and then not take advantage of their services. All this was booked months and months ago before I thought Disney was going to come out and support grooming children. But, it is what it is. But I just got back from there, and it is run spectacularly. There is an anarchist streak in me that kind of likes the idea of a corporation, being its own little government, having its own little, its own little government, running its own thing within the state, and kind of a little bit free from certain state laws and regulations. I kind of like that. However, they went back and checked, and they decided, okay, fine. You want to play that game? Fine. We'll just go ahead and strip you of all the rights you have. So the Reedy Creek Improvement Act was signed back in 1967. So over 50 years, Disney has had special privileges in the state. Let's put it this way. Their privileges are so awesome. Disney could technically build a nuclear power plant at Disney World if they wanted to. Now, I'm sure the federal government would get involved at that point. But if Disney wanted to, I've heard that they could go ahead and build a nuclear power plant. Which, again, I mean, that's awesome if you can get that. So I'm not faulting Disney at all for that. But it went ahead and said, okay, we're going to eliminate. So this bill eliminates the Reedy Creek Improvement District, which exempts Disney from numerous regulations and taxes and fees, and reportedly saves the company tens of millions of dollars per year. So at least I know that more of my money that I spent at Disney World is going to go to a state and a government that is actually serving their people, unlike my state of California, which is bullshit. So this has been great. It basically put Disney on the defensive. Normally, Disney is kind of the one that can bow up and just, and push the government, officials around. Ron DeSantis told Disney to fuck off, and it's really a breath of fresh air when you see a politician really tell, when somebody on my side is finally willing to fight. It is a breath of fresh air. And I like seeing this from Governor DeSantis. Also, he blocks CRT in school, critical race theory. He even blocked some math books that were trying to put CRT into the math curriculum. And you might be wondering, how do you put CRT in the math curriculum? How are you talking about race when it comes to math? Math is 1 + 1 = 2. Well, I can give you an example. There was a word problem that I saw online that said Billy is white and he has $500. Bobby is black and he has $250. How much more money did Billy make because he was white? It was worded basically like that. That's how you get critical race theory into the math curriculum. So he's gone ahead and rejected that from the schools. And it's great that you have a governor that is not willing to allow the classrooms in his state to teach kids to hate their country and to hate each other, especially when it comes to things that we should be over with by now. Racial issues should not be a thing anymore, and the more they keep getting propped up and not just talked about, but like talked about as in we should be at a struggle with each other, that's just wrong. So we should not be hating each other. We should not be hating our country. We can hate certain aspects of our country and how our public officials act, but we live in the greatest country in the world, and we should be proud of that. So I'm ecstatic with how DeSantis has been handling himself, especially the last couple weeks where he's really, gone on the offensive against all this woke bullshit. And I mean, it's been fantastic to watch. I mean, I just got one thing to say. It's like, just stop it, man. My penis can get only so erect for so long. Jeez, my poor wife. She's going to be exhausted. Anyway, moving on. So let me give you a little bit of an insight here. The part of the reason why I haven't been posting a lot is because I was going on vacation. This vacation had been probably at least 3 or 4 months, and I've been planning it since before Christmas, and we finally got it squared away. So, my mother-in-law's birthday, my birthday, and my mom's birthday are all within like a week and a half of each other. So we decided to go to Disney World. The main reason we chose Disney World is because at the time that we started deciding on where to go, Disneyland, which is only about a 6-hour drive from me, had said there was a possibility that they were going to require Vax passes to get into the park. So you were going to have to prove that you were vaccinated, and they might have required you to be boosted as well. There was also talk that they might require your kids, anybody under the or over the age of 2, to wear a mask, both inside and outside of buildings. And first of all, no, I was not going to show anybody my vaccination status. That just wasn't going to happen. Second of all, I got the vaccine and I got COVID. I'm fine. My son is under the age of 5. I'm not making him wear a mask for an entire trip to Disneyland. That's just not going to happen. So we decided that, hey, we're going to go to Disney World because we knew there wasn't going to be any mask mandate. We knew there wasn't going to be any vax mandate. We knew that we were going to be able to breathe free while we're there and actually have a good time. So we decided on Disney World, and it was a little bit easier a trip for my parents because they live on the East Coast, so it was only like a 2-hour flight for them. My in-laws is a little bit more difficult, but neither one of them had been to Disney World before, so it worked out for both of them. They get to go to a new place. Also, I'm trying to convince my in-laws to move to Florida, so it kind of helps with that as well. So my week, all last week, was great. Disney World's actually a really nice place. I know it's run by a bunch of groomers, but they were it was great. I was actually staying at one of the cheaper hotels that they have there, and I had a good time. It's a little bit of a struggle trying to coordinate the bus schedule, like getting to, if you're staying at this hotel, going to Magic Kingdom, which is all the way the fuck up there, and it's a little bit rough. But overall, I had a great time, and hopefully I've convinced my in-laws to move to Florida. So that's what I'm hoping. My issue is on the way back. The way back was a struggle. So we leave Orlando. We leave on the 22nd. We're coming back, and we have a layover in Seattle. We're flying down to Sacramento. So we have a layover in Seattle. Well, the guy you see on the screen here, President Brandon, he was in Seattle that day. Now, I found this out later from the people at Alaska Airlines, and Alaska Airlines, everybody that I talked to at Alaska Airlines was fantastic. Your staff there was great. They were very helpful. Every single person was very friendly. I really can't say enough. The only thing I would say is if something like this happens, you really need to have more people working at your customer service line overnight, not just one or two people. There needs to be more people. So what happened is President Brandon, he is responsible. So he landed at SeaTac Airport, and that basically effectively shut down the entire airport for 2 hours. Now, according to the Alaska reps that I talked to, Earth Day is a horrible day to fly into Seattle because every president goes to Seattle on Earth Day. It's just what they do. Every president. Well, Biden, what I was told, Biden decided to do a whole event at the airport, and it was only supposed to basically close down the airport for like 30 minutes. It was 2 hours he closed down the airport. Now, I get it. He's the president. You got to protect him, and he deserves that kind of treatment. But I see no reason why the president of the United States should be shutting down a major international airport to do a press event when there are military bases nearby. There's Boeing nearby. There are other places that you could either land that plane or land your plane, get into your convoy, and go somewhere else. No, he decided he had to do it at SeaTac, which closed down the airport. He was responsible for not just my flight getting canceled, but at least 5 or 6 other flights being canceled around the time I landed, which is about 8 p.m. Pacific time. So that's one thing. So we get our flight canceled. We don't find out the flight is canceled until after midnight. Remember, I have 2 elderly people with me, 2 children under the age of 5. So it's after midnight, and we have to go to guest services to get our flight rebooked. That line took 5 hours to get through. So we finally get to the front of the line after 5 hours. And, in between, my wife's saying, okay, I got to go to the bathroom, hold my daughter. I got to hold my daughter while I'm waiting in line. I've already been standing for 3 hours. My wife goes to the bathroom. My in-laws are asleep. My son is asleep. And, we're all sleeping in the airport. We finally get to the front of the line, and there's no flights for me until the next day. So, yeah. He shuts down the airport, and it causes this ripple effect all the way through. So we get to the hotel, and Alaska gave us a hotel. Well, initially they had messed up the booking. They messed up the hotel booking. So we had to go back to the airport and talk to them. Well, luckily for us, the good news was that we got there and they said, hey, we actually have a flight out for all of you tonight. Do you want to go tonight? And we're like, sure, let's do that. Okay, well, it's at 7:30. Perfect. Let's go ahead and do that. Go ahead and keep your hotel booking, get some sleep, and then come on back. So we were thinking we were going to get kicked out of the hotel in about 4 or 5 hours, which kind of sucked. But as soon as we got back to the hotel said, actually, we went ahead and just made the reservation last until tomorrow. You guys don't have to leave until noon tomorrow. So Alaska, you guys made it work. Alaska Airlines, I'm going to try to fly with you guys forever if I can. So there's that. And so that turned into the whole thing. So we went back to the hotel. Me and my wife slept for about 4 hours. This turned into a problem though, because my father-in-law is on a host of medications. He's in his mid-70s on a lot of medications. The main problem though being his acid reflux. So the whole way, basically between basically from about 5 p.m. until we got home and basically into the next day, he was constantly having those dry heaves because acid reflux, because we were not expecting to have our flight canceled and then postponed for nearly 24 hours, because our initial flight was supposed to leave at like 9 o'clock in the evening, and we were supposed to get back for him to take his next round of medication. We didn't plan that ahead. So, and it was all so that Joe Biden could tell people that the U.S. military, every single vehicle, is going to be climate friendly. We're going to spend billions of dollars to make the military climate friendly. I don't know about you, but if I'm an enemy of the United States and you blow up my son's tank, I don't give a fuck if it was powered by solar panels. I really don't. So all of what I went through, having basically been sleeping for 4 hours out of 48 hours, sleeping for about 4 hours, all of that just so Joe Biden could let everybody know of probably the dumbest policy, American policy, I have heard in my lifetime. So, yeah, Joe Biden is a disgrace again. So, but yeah, that's in a nutshell how my weekend went. I'm kind of finally got caught up on sleep. I was going to actually do this episode tomorrow, but I had to do it today because, Elon buying Twitter, just totally worth it, the whole thing. So that's the show for today. I want to thank you guys for tuning in. I'm going to try to keep doing these on a regular basis. Like I said, I always want to try to do these towards the end of the week if I can. I might do a live show. Keep on the lookout for my my YouTube page. I might decide to go live and do a live thing for the NFL draft. I got my Cincinnati Bengals shirt on right now, so I'm really excited to see how my Bengals are going to do as far as the draft goes. It's really kind of weird for me because normally the Bengals don't draft this late in the draft. They're usually in the the middle to top end of the draft. So it's really weird watching them have to draft at 31. So I'm kind of excited about it. It's really weird because they've taken care of the offensive line, which was their biggest issue. They've pretty much taken care of that. They've got a they can effectively draft for best available player, and that sounds intriguing. They do have a couple of holes here as far as depth goes. They don't have any glaring holes, but if somebody gets injured, they've got some glaring holes. So there's some things that they still need to draft for and hopefully get people ready to go for the next season, because I'm hoping for a return to the Super Bowl, hopefully this time with a better outcome for the Super Bowl. So I might decide to go live at least on Friday for the draft, for the NFL draft. And yeah, that's really about it. I'm going to try to keep doing this. Again, I like to do videos where there's actual news to talk about, not, potential news. Whenever I talk about potential news, I feel like the way CNN for days leading up, for actually years leading up to the Trump, Mueller report, the Russian collusion bullshit, I feel like that, like I'm talking about stuff that could happen. I'll make predictions from time to time, but I'm not a soothsayer. I'm not going to tell you what the future is. And I always kind of feel like I'm making shit up if there's not actually something to talk about. So I had to talk about today Elon Musk buying Twitter. I hadn't talked to you a lot because DeSantis hadn't signed those bills into law yet. I had to talk about that. And then I want to give you an update on, why I haven't been around. I've been kind of all over the place for the most part. A lot of stuff going on in my personal life, with kids, with just everything. I got a promotion at work, so there's that. Been trying to work on that. I was actually trying to get another promotion on top of the promotion I just got. So there's a lot of stuff going on. I told you I was going to update you on my weight, how my fitness journey was going. I haven't been doing that. I'm going to try to be more on top of that. I will let you know this. Before I left to Disney, I did get under 185 pounds. I started basically at 200 pounds at the beginning of the year. I dropped a little bit towards, at the end of January. The Super Bowl kind of fucked me up because I was eating a lot of stuff I probably shouldn't have, especially the last 2 weeks of February. I got back into it a bit in March. I was able to get my weight down to under 185. Ended up going to Disneyland, came back, gained about 3 or 4 pounds over the trip to Disney. So 1 week trip to Disney, gained about 3 or 4 pounds. So not too shabby right now. I'm still down overall about 13 pounds for the year. I want to get more. The plan is to, once we get the cobwebs shaken out of our heads over the next couple weeks, more lifting. I'm going to start with just basics, push-ups, squats, sit-ups, things like that, and then move on from there. But yeah, I'm going to start trying to, be a bit more active on the YouTube and on the Rumble and try to make these videos more commonplace as much as I can. Like I said, this is very low budget, and I've got a full-time job, and I've got a wife and 2 kids I got to take care of. So this is a hobby for me, and I will try to get to you whenever I can when it comes to stuff that's actually happening, not just, oh, this might happen. So, but if you have any topics that you want me to cover, anything that's going on around the world, for example, France just had a presidential election where they again elected the wrong person. But such is life. So if you'd like me to talk about anything like that, leave a comment in the comment section and I will get to that, and maybe I'll do an episode with your idea. So go ahead and shoot me that in the comments, and thanks for watching today, and you have a great night. Bye guys.